Whether it's in the air, on land, the sea, or under it, the SimNet is your simulation network.
If you've been around the channel for the past year or so, you know that I've been building and releasing files for DIY flight sim peripherals. Of course, when I complete a DIY project, I do personally use that peripheral for my own virtual flights. My first project was this, the B8 grip used in the F-4 Phantom and many other Cold War aircraft. It's no accident that I chose this legendary grip to start my DIY journey. I was inspired by Heapler Simulations' announcement that they were working on the F-4 for DCS World. Ever since Heapler released the F-4 module for DCS, I have not flown anything else. This is now and has always been my favorite jet fighter, and I intend to build and release files for many peripherals like throttles, the Wizzo hand controller, radar panels, and more. Eventually, although it may be a few years out, I hope to build an entire DIY F-4 Phantom front and rear cockpit for a true one-to-one virtual experience. At the end of the day, gear doesn't necessarily make one a better virtual pilot, but it does increase the immersion when you reach out and have a one-to-one scale reference. We all know the difference between winning and losing in a dogfight comes down to the individual behind the controls, whatever those controls may be, or whatever aircraft they happen to be flying. So when I started seeing a trend online of experienced DCS players on multiplayer servers splashing Phantoms on day one, left, right, and center, I decided to head into the fray myself to see how I would fare, and maybe learn a thing or two along the way. The following is my first 5 engagements on Enigma's Cold War server on the first day that I joined that server. If you like this kind of video, please do let me know in the comments. If you are new to the channel, stick around and consider subscribing, as there's lots of cool stuff around the corner. Without further ado, let's go flying. Welcome everyone, we're here in the F-4E on Enigma's Cold War server, starting things off nice and easy with a MiG-21 at my 6, which appears to have just fired an R-13 at me. I did notice that they were in the vicinity based on the early warning radar, and as we merge here, I decide to take it into the vertical. I want to translate my kinetic energy into potential energy, and then use the gravity assist to get the nose on here, either for a gunshot or a sidewinder shot, but I couldn't get the angles, so I decided to ditch out and put the nose down, put the stick forward, take the G off the airplane to allow it to regain some speed and some energy here. And I turned to look for the MiG, and they were coming effectively head-on, so we've got another neutral merge there. And taking it into the vertical again, I prefer the vertical fight in the F-4 because of all of that thrust from the J-79s, and the MiG prefers the horizontal fight. We were head-on there, and these are AIM-9Ps, the Papas, the first variant, so they're not actually all aspect, so I shouldn't have fired in that case, but I didn't realize in that moment that I didn't have tone. The adrenaline was flowing quite strongly. So we are solidly in the vertical fight now, and I'm trying to bait the MiG into going through this vertical fight with me. And again, extended a little bit in order to regain some energy at the bottom of my turn, so that when I go up, I'm going up with at least 450 or 500 knots. And now we can see that the MiG has fully committed to the pure vertical fight, which in my view, and as far as my understanding was at the time, they would not and could not win. And we saw a little bit of wing rock there from the MiG as they were heading up, or at least that's how I perceived it at the time. And I pulled quite hard to pull them into my gun sight, which unfortunately departed the aircraft. So departed the aircraft from flight. Good recovery here, and very, very lucky, which allowed me to put my nose on. I had tone for a split second, pulled the trigger again, very eager for my first kill in the F4. Finally got tone. Very small acquisition window of the Sidewinders. That was a bug that was fixed later, and we got our first splash of a MiG-21 on Enigma's Cold War server. And the EWR calls out very close contact, so I go into a clearing turn to check my 6, and what do you know? We've got a Mirage F1 who appears to be in a very high energy state, and so I decide to reverse the turn into them and turn this into a bit of a rolling scissor. I'd like to do a 2-circle fight with the Mirage if I can, but in this case they are out in front. Now in this moment I do decide to put the nose down and regain some energy, because I didn't want to be in a situation like I was just a moment before with the MiG-21, where I was departing flight at the top of the loop. That leaves me very vulnerable, not just to the opponent I'm fighting, but also other aircraft in the area that might be looking for a sneaky kill, just like this Mirage was. So going back into the vertical, they came down and start heading up into the cloud. I am happy in this moment. I'm thinking, okay, in a vertical fight with the MiG-21, just got my first kill. Now vertical fight with the Mirage as well. And I do go for a CAA lock in order to fire a Sparrow, but it does not track, or I did not fire. Got another friendly Phantom in the area, and I decide to switch to Heat Seekers. I do believe that the Mirage must have lost sight in the clouds here, and that represents kill number 2. And then we've got our friendly Phantom in the area. They may have seen that Phantom as well and thought that that was me. Of course, situational awareness is key. All right, landed, took off again. This is our second sortie on day 1. And we are merged here with a Mirage. I can, again, see them called out on the EWR. And I'm looking, and right in that moment I spot them on my 6. So that's how the engagement starts, with the Mirage on my tail again. And I can see the condensation on their wings. They're pulling really hard, and I roll into them. Again, trying to get aggressive, take a quick gunshot there. Very, again, aspirational gunshot. Trying to nick a wing tip if I can. But at this point, I was not very confident with the guns whatsoever. And the Mirage here, pulling very hard like they did, we see that they actually departed flight as well. And I go here for a Sidewinder, miss the first one, second one tracks, fire a third. Completely unnecessary, but I was really hungry for the kill. So they pulled a little bit too hard, departed the aircraft, and that cost them. Clearing turn at my 6 again, as I've noticed consistently that that's where the enemies appear to be. And that's a friendly Phantom transiting there. So the EWR, very important. The server restarted for an early morning mission, and now we have the enemy again at my 6. I spotted them at this point transiting below me. I think that they were following their EWR, but they didn't see me. My trick in these night missions is to never go into burner if I can avoid it, because the burner lights up the entire sky, and this one, never stood a chance. Just a very clean straight line. I mean, that's the thing, right? Never want to fly in a straight line if you can avoid it. And finally, we've got, again, another enemy at our 6 here. As with the majority of these engagements, this is how they start. Taking it into a vertical once again. And then rolling over. And it appears to be quite the crowded sky, and it looks like the Mirage decided to switch targets, or perhaps got confused and thought that the other F4 was me. In either case, it costs them dearly. Fox 2 again. So there you have it, folks. That's the first 5 fights that I had on Enigma's Cold War server. I have quite a few more engagements that I'd love to share with you. If you like this kind of video, or if you have any feedback, please do let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, and I will see you in the next video.